Join me today as we visit Morocco's famed blue city of Chefchaouen. We'll be driving up from Fez on this final episode of Michael Hines in Morocco. Good morning on this now rainy day, driving through the countryside down to some of the ancient sites. This is definitely a olive growing region. It actually smells like olive oil in the air as I pass through here, and you can see the olive trees on both sides of the road and some of the merchants with piles of olives. Pretty cool. Also in abundance in this Mediterranean climate, citrus fruits, including oranges, and trees simply bursting with lemons. As I get started on my day, I do need a little boost from this espresso bar in a van. On my way up to Chefchaouen, I'll be visiting the ancient city of Volubilis. Well, with the mild Mediterranean climate and all the olive trees around here, it's no wonder that the Romans, the ancient Romans, choose to settle here at this ancient town of Volubilis. I'm standing in what today we call the House of Orpheus. That's because Orpheus from ancient Greek mythology is there in the center of the mosaic playing his lyre. It's amazing to me that humans have been telling this story for 2,500 years. This is a restoration of a Roman-era olive press. Here in the ancient Roman city of Volubilis, you'll find a room dedicated to all of your ancient pagan gods. Here I am standing over the room of Venus. It's always kind of mind-blowing to me how the Romans built cities that look like this basically all over the Mediterranean basin. Earlier this year, I was in Albania, and there was a similar town of ruins just like this. You have to wonder whether some future civilization will remark the same about our contemporary cities today all over the world. These arches have stood for 1,800 years. One thing I've concluded on this trip is that, geographically, Morocco reminds me quite a bit of California. They're both on the western extreme of their continent and have a Mediterranean climate along the coast that gives way to a vast desert on the eastern side. Of course, the culture and the economy are fairly different from California. In California, you won't find too many roadside stands where you can get a minced lamb sandwich with a mint tea for just about $1. But you can here in Morocco. Now, breakfast was included everywhere I stayed, and you can get by on another $25 or $30 a day and eat like a king for the rest of the day. Tourist attractions are generally between a few dollars and maybe $10 at most. So you're not going to break the bank with any of that. Now, if you're doing a road trip like I'm doing, the car is obviously going to be perhaps the biggest expense. I'm paying about $30 a day to rent the car and about $30 a day in gas. Now, one thing I should tell you about is driving in Morocco. I actually think that this is a really great country for taking a road trip. The country has a fairly decent road network. The biggest cities are linked by auto routes, which is just the French term for tolled highway. The tolls are fairly low. Almost everything else is linked by their system of national roads, numbered N1 through N18 or something like that. Part of why the roads feel relatively safe is that they're very heavily patrolled by the Gendarmerie Royale, the National Royal Police of Morocco. Every 50 kilometers or so, they actually set up checkpoints, obey the speed limits, because they do have speed traps set up within the area of those checkpoints. I'll tell you, I've probably been through about 50 of those checkpoints in my week here, and I was fined twice. Now, those fines amounted to $10 at one checkpoint and $15 at another checkpoint. So you might feel like it's a little bit of a shakedown. Just think of it as the cost of doing business in a developing nation. Those who are adventurous drivers can try their hand driving inside the Medina of Marrakesh, but it's not for the faint-hearted with its carts and motorcycles and pedestrians. Another option available to drivers is to get off the national road network and try some of Morocco's secondary and tertiary byways, though they can be literally a little rough around the edges, and you might occasionally find yourself stopping for various agricultural activities taking place in the road. Well, let's get back on the N13 National Road and finish our journey to Chefchaouen. To get started in Chefchaouen, I'm going to need a little bit of fuel, but not for the car. Forget Palm Wonderful. There's nothing like a $1 fresh squeezed pomegranate juice in Morocco. As in Marrakesh and Fez, Chefchaouen has a historic old city, or Medina, replete with narrow winding passageways, cart paths, and stairs. As I walked the streets of the Medina, I came across a house where I could hear this choir of women rehearsing, even though I never saw them. Well, if you're looking for Instagrammability, it's hard to beat the Blue City. Okay, we'll try a few more at nighttime. You'll experience a humorous blend of two sides of the Mediterranean, with plenty of tourists from Europe mixing in with locals from Morocco. It lends a whole new meaning to the expression across the pond. Pretty much the only thing here in the Blue City that isn't blue is the Casbah, the old fortress. By the way, let's check out my hotel, Casa Perleta. It's in the interior architecture here that you can see the strong links with Andalusian Spain, just across the water. At $55 a night, this was my most expensive room in Morocco, perhaps due to the city's tourist popularity. The blue streets of Chefchaouen are as dazzling by night as they are during the day. And it's time to scrounge up some dinner. And as I explore these streets for my last time in Morocco, perhaps we have a moment for one more Instagram photo shoot. Well, that's just about all the time we have together. Thanks for joining me on this trip through Morocco, and please subscribe to see future travels.